go live. We are here. It's best of 23. We're going to be talking about the best of. Of course, we got a lot of juicy things we've been thinking about. We want to. We're just okay. We invite people. I just released the 200th episode of Scenes from a Life vlog. This past week, I think, about a week ago, a few days ago, before Christmas. It was just Christmas. It's our Christmas recap. I mean, should we do a Christmas show? Should we make it Christmassy, have music and shit? I don't know. But it's Christmas time for those watching in the future. If anybody ever watches this later, I think these appreciate. I think they hold up. It's really, this is about getting to, I don't know, things that other shows can't get to the deepest kind of epiphanies we can. And that's probably why nobody watches. I don't know why nobody watches this. I mean, I kind of know why. Probably because of the production value, but or I don't know. Maybe I could edit it somehow. Editing probably would be key. Whatever. Yeah, watching. Maybe we'll talk about best of films. I watched Barbie movie. I want to talk about the Barbie movie. Let's just dive right in with the Barbie movie. Okay, so one of the best movies, I saw this movie, Fellini's Casanova. It's on YouTube for free, this dubbed version in English. Watch it immediately. It's incredible. It's not at all what you think it would be. It's really about the life of a writer. And it's sort of like Barry Lyndon. They're kind of similar. They're about kind of a similar time period. Europe during that time period, and it's just a magnificent film. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, Fellini has so many great masterpieces. Fellini might be the greatest. I don't know. I know that sounds insane, but for me, I've probably seen more Fellini movies that I think he just does. He takes it to the nth power in a way that certain other directors don't actually. Like even somebody like a Charlie Chaplin. His movies are kind of, I don't know. Fellini's just kind of go to this other place. They really go. They find some secret level that then. And I mean, La Strada. Think about something like a La Strada, which is a pretty. I mean, it's not even a freaky like visual, surreal acid trip like Juliet of the Spirits or something. It's pretty much a straight movie. And it's still this incredible story, and just it has elements of that kind of surreal quality. But then, or the La Dolce Vita just being this epic of kind of fame and celebrity, and that movie's relatively earthbound too. It isn't particularly kind of cartoonish or something like Amarcord or something. So Fellini is somebody I think is, I don't know, oddly maybe underrated. His movies are really enjoyable, I think, to watch. Unlike a lot of masterpieces of cinema that are like super fucking boring. Not that I don't like that stuff too. I love boring, but and Fellini's movies can be boring too. I mean, 8.5. The parts between the fucking crazy parts are, they're just like a normal movie almost. So check out Fellini's Casanova, Donald Sutherland. It's dubbed in English. And to be honest, I'm not usually a fan of dubbing. Maybe I should be, though, because it honestly really fucking worked for the movie. Maybe that's because Fellini is kind of like a visual cartoon or something. I know he was a cartoonist, like maybe like a New Yorker cartoonist. Fellini's movies kind of have like that kind of authorial, like James Thurber or something almost, caption. So the dialogue, apparently this dialogue was written by Anthony Burgess. The translation into English was written by Anthony Burgess, who I believe wrote Clockwork Orange. And it is just it's phenomenal. The dub, maybe it's because Donald Sutherland, the lead actor, is a English-speaking actor, but it really works. Fellini's movies are dubbed anyway. A lot of the world directors, they'll shoot without sound because it's cheaper, and then they'll dub the sound in later. So it's not that bizarre to see it dubbed, actually. And I don't know, you can kind of focus on the visuals, but check out Fellini Casanova with Donald Sutherland. It's just a movie about a writer. He's a man of letters. He just happens to be this sexual athlete. The sex scenes are very interesting. They're not explicit at all. They're like these weird, like they look like commedia dell'arte or something almost. They're not really like graphic nudity or anything. Which Satyricon, if you've ever seen that, has got some. I'd like to rewatch. There's some of the later Fellini stuff, the color movies, but Fellini's Casanova might be the best color Fellini movie I've seen. Actually, really a magnificent film, and just kind of because it actually tells the story. There's good voiceover, the visuals are amazing, the colors are amazing, the casting, like all Fellini movies, just like I don't. Who knows where he even finds these people? But, is that just what people look like in Italy? But but then the wigs are and the colors and the. I want to rewatch Amarcord. I've never seen And the Ship Sailed On or some of the later. I think I tried to watch Fellini, City of Women. That was on some. So yeah, that was an excellent film. I did watch the Barbie. I want to talk about the Barbie movie. Okay, the Barbie movie, right? I liked it. I enjoyed it. I mean, okay, I would. Yeah, let's just say I like. Okay, we'll go with that. But it was also like, okay, it felt like it wasn't anything new. It was pretty much the typical story they always tell when they're doing like a fucking. The doll wants to be a real person. That's like kind of the typical story they do. So it reminded me. It was Elf plus Pinocchio, and it was like they go. It's like Elf, where they have like a fucking like fantasy world, Barbie land, and they live in fantasy land, and that's their reality. And then they sort of go through this like claymation animatronic transitional to like the real world. In this case, Venice Beach, and then it's like a fish out of water thing, basically. And so like it was an enjoyable movie. It was entertaining. But the other thing I will say about it is I don't know what it was about. I'm not sure what the politics of it were. I mean, it's basically about Barbie wants to be a real person, right? The doll sort of wants to. You have to grow up. That was kind of the message that I got out of it. Is like she's experienced reality, and at a certain point, you don't need the doll anymore to live like you grow up and you acclimate and you become a part of the adult world, right? Go to her gynecologist. That's the last line in the movie, right? That's the punchline of the movie. I didn't understand, to me there were too many kind of like cinematic references that really didn't pertain to, like, the thing opens with like this 2001 parody. It's like, why did they do that? They just did that because they're film nerds. Because Greta Gerwig is a film nerd. And there's all these references to kind of like movies and shit throughout. Like, I can't think of any off the top of my head. Listen to this. And so, okay, I'll just say, like, it sort of dodges the questions about what Barbie is, which is like, it's Mattel, it's a corporation, it's molding kids in a certain way. They they allude to that. There's one point where they sort of have a tongue-in-cheek monologue about the questionable maybe subject matter, Barbie unrealistic beauty standards or this or that. And they just kind of, it felt to me like they didn't really answer the politics. It didn't feel like some radically subversive fucking feminist socialist fucking. I mean, and maybe it wasn't trying to be. I don't think it was. I think it was just trying to be like a movie that was geared and made from the point of view of women. And it was a blockbuster, and it's like a franchise. It didn't necessarily seem like it was trying to go overtly about the politics of Barbie or whatever the fuck, and why it's okay to be, I guess that was all implicit. Women understand that. But I don't know. I was expecting like Will Ferrell's character is the CEO of Mattel or whatever. Supposedly he represents corporate America. It's like uh that's one thing that felt like Elf to me. You know, it's like Will Ferrell brought it's like his face. It's like you can't help but see. I'm seeing the guy from Zoolander and I'm seeing Elf. The sort of echoes of that in this film. And it's like they want somebody likable. It didn't like a lot of and I'm not, I know it's dangerous and I'm not trying to call out feminism or anything, but there is like a corporate feminism that is what we live in. And it's like, okay, good for, women for, that's great. Of course, we all, no one was against that. I was never against, women got to be at home. That's absurd, of course. But like Barbie and Mattel, like, see, the movie didn't really seem to answer these questions to me. Like, it didn't seem to, and maybe that would have been hypocritical if it tried to. But it was just like this is the story they always fucking tell. Oh, it was Elf plus Pinocchio plus Siddhartha. Siddhartha being the story of the Buddha. It's an excellent novel by Herman Hesse. I totally recommend it, by the way. It's about 100 pages. You can read it in like a day or two. And basically, the story of Siddhartha is he was some kind of prince or something, and he never even saw. He lived in a walled palace, and he never even saw suffering or scarcity. His life was so full of abundance. He had everything he ever wanted. He was surrounded by beauty and pleasure. But one day his carriage, he was going whatever, traveling whatever. I don't remember the exact story. And he saw whatever, a beggar or something. He saw somebody that was sort of emaciated, starving to death. He saw hunger. And so that was his glimpse into mortality. That was his glimpse into what life is actually like. That's kind of what the Barbie movie was to me. When she sees cellulite, when her feet, when she goes from being on her toes to being flat-footed, that's her sort of like taste of mortality in what like the real world is. Venice Beach, which is another thing. They wouldn't really, if they're being honest about Venice Beach, what it is, they didn't show any kind of homeless encampment at all. Which, to be honest, if you go to Venice Beach right now, that's the first fucking thing that's going to be in your face, is there's homeless encampments everywhere. There's people living in fucking Barbie RVs and shit. There's just... And the movie sort of didn't really, want to go into any of that. But it was an entertaining movie. You know what? They're just trying to sell more toys. They're trying to... I don't know. It's I didn't really understand why it was like something that, other than I guess Barbie. It's a movie about a doll. It's really about Barbie. It's about a doll. It's about like, I don't think they want to really go that much further into it than it is. Barbie is sort of like a prism, and in every there's all different kinds of Barbies. There's President Barbie. They're good, and they go out, they make a point to, there's a Barbie in a wheelchair, there's like a body positivity Barbie, there's there's all kind of Barbies. All the Kens are fucking, of course the main ones are white. The heroes of the movie are fucking white, heteronormative, or, they don't have genitals. I don't know, that's one of the jokes of the movie is they don't have genitals. Yeah, what? I'm live. I'm live in the middle of my thing.
Let me know when you're free. I want to get something in your room.
What do you need? What is it? I'm going to be doing this for like 2 hours. Oh, that's very professional. No wonder I don't have any viewers. I don't think I want viewers. I don't know. I don't know how to become a success. I don't know how to package what I'm doing. Barbie is packaging. It's all packaging. You got to get back in the box, Barbie. She doesn't want to get back in the box. She knows what it's like to taste freedom. She wants a gynecologist, okay? She's a woman, okay? Her body, it's her choice, okay? They should have had Barbie get in a bar. Do they have, what's she going, so she's going to a gynecologist. I guess the implication is she has genitals now. Because at the beginning of the movie, they don't have genitals. They make a joke out of it. How they don't have, whatever. They don't have sex. It's just girls' night every night. That's what it seemed to me about. It's about growing up, right? The state of Barbiehood is like childhood. It's like you have sleepovers with your girls. Ken doesn't have any genitals, and like he's your boyfriend, but like he goes away. It's not about him. It's about just having fun and sort of this materialistic. What about the materialism of Barbie, huh? Is that problematic? The movie didn't seem to want to answer these questions. It wasn't like some kind of hippie, at least not that I could tell. I couldn't tell what the politics of it were, really, at the end. Other than just being sort of vague and like, oh, it made $1 billion. So girl boss, and good for fucking Barbie. Like I said, it was an entertaining movie. That's all it. Maybe that's the politics of it. Is like women deserve their own fucking summer blockbuster. That's like, it doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to answer these questions really. Other than in the way that it's made and but I do think that the Ken character gets a lot of fucking attention. But Ryan Gosling is a scene fucking hog. I get why everybody's charmed by him, as a movie star and stuff. Having seen Song to Song and now seen the Barbie movie, I sort of understand. Like, he just, he's a ham. I don't know. And is it fair for this white guy to steal the Barbie movie, like, with his fucking I'm just Ken bullshit? I don't know. But it just seemed like, it was funny, but it was like, it was just Hollywood. I don't know. It was pro Hollywood, pro corporation, pro, just being a part of it, which is sort of like, not to pick on fucking Taylor Swift or anything, or like that's the most interesting thing to talk about, or like, this was another thing that I noticed coming to music, like probably 6, 7, 8 years ago, these like super bad bitch female rappers, like, right, Cardi, like first it was Nicki Minaj. And there's always been bad bitch female, there's Foxy Brown and Lil' Kim, of course, from the 90s. There's always been bad bitch female rappers. But, when Cardi B and, who's the other fucking Kodak Black? Wet Ass Pussy. When WAP hit the airwaves, that was like, I feel like the utmost kind of period of like girl boss. And it to me, but it's like they're all, and Taylor Swift feels like this too, and why the Eras Tour, they want to sell it like, oh, it was this big cultural event and it made all this money and it stimulated these economies, and it's like, well, that's just because everyone is consolidating around this kind of Walmart kind of homogenized corporate feminism, right? Like, Taylor Swift is the fucking super tall of pop music and good. It's, why are the outfits so ugly? That's what I want to know. They just released this fucking movie about the Eras Tour. Why are the outfits so ugly? Taylor Swift, I'm sure, could get better clothes than these. These like these like sequined like, onesie with the leggings. And it's like, these clothes are hideous. They look like, sort of like Dallas Cowboy meets like fucking like Ice Capades. And it's like, I don't know, I'm not trying to like, good, you won. I mean, that's the thing. It's like the women of my generation have won so totally. Then it's still like, I'm complaining about this online. Or it could be more cliche, but like, I don't know. It's just our culture is just so fucking bland and corporate and glossy, and you know, these sort of monolithic Disney entertainers, Miley, Selena Gomez, Harry fucking these teen idols, right? These people who were made famous by Disney, by Nickelodeon and shit when you were like pre-conscious, when you're 5 years old, in sync. This was another thing I want to bring into the conversation. Is I was watching these videos by this guy Rick Beato or something, and he's clearly like the dad rock point of view on YouTube, because I'm sure there's a lot of dad rock, or you know, grandfather rock at this point. And so this Rick Beato, they were talking about why is music so bad, right? And one of the big reasons why is Clear Channel, right? Clinton in the 90s signed this legislator that allowed corporations to buy as many fucking radio stations as they wanted. And that's when Clear Channel started to buy all of the radio stations everywhere and program whatever they wanted people to listen to, rather than, you know, music sort of organically coming up through regional, local, WMMS in Cleveland, the North Shore, right? QFM 96, local radio stations, local DJs playing what what their audience wanted to hear. They said Rush, the band Rush, broke because this guy at WMMS in Cleveland kept playing their first single. Nobody else was playing it. He just liked it. So he played it and played it and played it, and eventually it kind of caught on. And bang, now we have Rush. Thank you. Jesus Christ, what a gift. I'm not, you know, Rush is cool. They're okay. They're great. They're one of those bands that's actually good, but their fan base is so fucking annoying that you can't, like, admit that because they think it's the greatest thing that's ever happened. Like, Rush is great. They're just another fucking band, though. They're not really any better than, like, I don't know. You know, they're technical kind of virtuosos, so, like, they do get, like, a special geek kind of quality, but I don't know. So, okay, so part of the reason why music sucks now, and we have these kind of corporate stars that are just kind of mandated to us, these mega brands, the Jonas Brothers. Why the fuck are the Jonas Brothers famous? Because they got famous when you were 7 fucking years old and you didn't know any better. Like, they just packaged that shit for people. And the other thing that the guy points to, and I don't know that I agree with this necessarily, but I think it's an interesting point. Why is rock dead? And why does music suck now? Because of the blues influence. The blues influence is gone, is basically what he said. You know, he's saying as electronic music, computer music, whatever came over, blues influence became less important, right? Which, like guitar music, most pop music, he uses the example of Adele being something from the last 10 years that was super popular because it's basically blues music. Whereas most music now, you know, like I don't think you would say NSYNC or Britney, maybe these are Britney's kind of blues inflected, I would say. The other thing that's an aspect of this is all of the fucking songs are written by these Swedish guys. If you look up all of the mega radio hits of the past 30 years, they're all written by like Dr. Luke, these fucking like Sweet Max Martin, these Swedish like mega producers that have written every fucking song from the last 25 years. Since You've Been Gone, every Britney fucking song, every fucking NSYNC song, I Want It That Way, all of it. Every fucking like, you know, and it's like formulaic, and it's like the movies. Obviously, it's like everything. It's corporate. It's you know, they're just trying to like maximize shareholder value, shit like that. But I think that, you know, there is some truth to the idea that like, for a myriad of reasons, blues influence, I think, is like anathema to like people probably younger than like Gen X, maybe. You know, I think probably a lot of that is for racial, political reasons. Obviously, it's not appropriate for white people to be stealing so overtly like they did with blues music. I mean, even Nirvana played fucking Lead Belly and shit, right? That's one of the examples he uses. Nirvana totally, you can feel a blues influence. But, all of these like Swedish fucking record producers, like Max Martin or whatever, I don't necessarily know that there is blues influence in that. Um, and to be honest, I think to some degree it just got played out. It just like it was so prevalent. And me, it was like I kind of I had a saturation in that as a child because my dad was in a blues band. My mom likes that music. So we grew up around it, even though it was being played by white people predominantly. Not Willie Pooch, the guy who's, my dad was in his band, but, everybody else was white for the most part. Which at that time it was like they had this reverence for it, that was like, overdue, but, have, well, okay, one of the prime Velvet Underground. When Velvet Underground started, Lou Reed, one of the rules they had, no blues licks. That was like one of the foundational principles of Velvet Underground, no blues licks. And Lou Reed is definitely blues inflected, but I would say for like indie sleaze, whatever, the cool music when I was young, there was sort of like we're gonna steer away from blues, other than like maybe the White Stripes, and then it got really blown up with the Black Keys, I would say. The Black Keys were like the arena rock band, I would say, of the last 20 years that were like white people blues, basically. Just like a big, like beer fucking soaked, like arena. But they had a low end and, sort of bastardizations of that. The other aspect of this, I would say, is that if it wasn't already obvious, I think it has become obvious, and this is something I keep seeing on TikTok videos, is that hip hop kind of dominates maybe not even just American culture, but like world culture. The way that people conceive of how it's cool to dress, talk, sound, pretty much on the whole planet, I would say, our ideas of what cool are haven't really progressed any further beyond, and they're kind of defined by like hip hop culture, which I think is cool. But okay, this last year was like the 50th anniversary of hip hop, right? And they've been doing all these ceremonies with like LL Cool J and all these guys, and they're like old now, right? The original hip hop guys, it's like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or something, and that's amazing. Like hip hop, is an amazing art form and like has fucking brought. But it's also like, what's the next thing? I think one of the reasons why our culture is stalled out, right, is because of the Clear Channel thing, and we are wondering what the fuck. There's all these people making music. Why isn't it going anywhere? Why isn't there, everybody? I'm sick of hearing about fucking Nirvana, man. Like Nirvana is great and everything, but it was 30 years ago. People talk about Nirvana like there's some breaking new band that's like it's cool to like. It's like it was 30 fucking years ago at this point. And so it's like uh what is has the culture stalled out? I don't know. A lot of what I see is like just mid, right? It's weird how much culture there is on social media in particular. And but the thing is it's not music or even people's self-promotion always. It's how to use social media to get your band famous videos, right? So it's like a lot of times you're not even seeing somebody's music video or their new song. You're seeing like a video that somebody made. Hey, here's what you do, how to get more views. How do you get more fucking, here's what I did to get a better this or that. It's like it's the industry is like everyone is like a bedroom producer who's like trying to get their music out there through the same social media fucking channels, and you don't hear any of the actual music. At least I don't. I don't even, when I get on Spotify, it gives me the same fucking like super generic classic rock songs. That's one thing that I really don't like about Spotify. It's like there's no nuance. It's all like, here's Sweet Home Alabama. Here's, the most famous fucking like uh generic like best of playlist. It's like it's not even as interesting as like a fucking, greatest hits CD or something. And it's just weird because the internet was supposed to kind of democratize these voices and stuff. And you do see people promoting their gigs and things a lot, but as far as content goes, right? Um, it seems like there's more content about how to be successful online than there is like actual content. I don't hear people's songs. I don't see people's music videos. I don't see people's movies. I don't see people's fucking YouTube videos. Every fucking YouTube video is sort of like some kind of video essay or how to or whatever. It's not actual content. I guess people are charging money for their real content, or maybe it's on Spotify. I just don't know how to find it, but uh it's just gruel. It's all become gruel. And I don't know. How do we evolve? How do we get to the next thing? The culture has become more and more like fucking high school. As it's like this corporate thing, it's just like they use these people to like make us feel bad about ourselves, and they're like the cool people. The cool table of the world is like everybody who's on the Tonight Show. It's like Taylor Swift, Pete Davidson, Imrata. These are like the cool people of like our culture, or at least this is what the mainstream culture wants us to believe. Is like here's the sort of mega powers of like these huge corporate kind of entities steering these fucking properties, trying to make that big money. Selena Gomez, anybody on SNL, right? It's all predicated on like we're cool, we're sexy, you're supposed to want to be a part of this, and that just feels like high school to me. That doesn't feel like inviting. Like Taylor Swift, you can't. It's like she's become so totemistic. She's just like an emblem for kind of like this culture that I'm talking about. The kind of corporate feminist homogenized appropriating hip hop culture uh it's like she kind of pretends like she's some kind of outsider or freak, and she has certain quality, like her hair or something, that you're like, okay, I'm sure she probably could understand, like as a kid, what it was like to be like othered or something. But it's also like she's a fucking 6'2" blonde, blue-eyed, like stunning human being. It's like she's kind of like the ultimate fascist, capitalist winner, right? She just wins. She's so nice and she's so real and she's so genuine that you're just like, oh my god, we love you even more. You're our queen. It's like, well, she's kind of just playing. I don't know. I don't. It's just like that's another mega brand that they're using to sell these things to us, right? It's Barbie movie. It's the Eras Tour. This is like a feminist rite of passage to pay fucking money to go see this shit. To go the first weekend to see Barbenheimer or whatever. And if you're not there, you're like missing out on this media event. You know, I don't know. I like watching movies. I like the idea that movies are this kind of they are almost like a live event, particularly when you see it in the theater, and it's, you know, you are experiencing it. Like if you see that movie opening weekend, it is kind of exciting. You know, I had to wait till it got on HBO Max. I never would have fucking watched a Barbie movie. Not because I didn't want to see it, just because like the paywall. You know, these things cost money. You have to pay for the privilege of being able to experience these, you know, the new CD, the new fucking whatever in the theater. I still haven't seen Asteroid City. Apparently, it's the best movie of the year. I doubt it. And so I don't know, like going to see Taylor Swift $6,000 for floor seats to like, you know, they've somehow talked people into believing that that's like you know, a feminist statement or something, or like some important, and it's like, well, they're just getting your money. I don't know. It's not the same thing as paying $5 to go see fucking Grateful Dead or something in the 70s. I don't know. It's just like things have to be so fucking big to make money now. And that's kind of frustrating, right? With movies, the example is they used to have DVDs, right? They could sell DVDs. In the music industry, they could sell CDs, sell albums, right? That's how they made their money. I saw this TikTok, Matt Damon explaining this. The reason they had so many indie films and shit in the 90s and 2000s because they had DVDs. So, you know, they could sell DVDs and then they could go make, you know, even if their movie didn't make its money back in the theater, they could make the money back on the DVD, right? They could sell the DVD. So a small independent film that costs $2 or $3 million might not make that money in the theater, but it'll make it back on the DVD or whatever. Now with streaming and shit, they get so fucked they can't make these movies anymore because there's no DVD market, and so those movies have just disappeared. That's why we have fucking Marvel movies and shit, and like that's it. These huge franchises like Barbie, where they're trying to build. How fucking hilarious is that? That now they're trying to take a toy and make a fucking story out of it. Like this is some like revolutionary, groundbreaking, like great thing for humanity. Like wow, they figured out how to make a fucking toy that has no story whatsoever interesting to people. I don't know. I guess apparently these Lego movies are supposed to be really good. I guess it's a completely different thing, but uh you know, as sort of a mid-size loser approaching middle age, I just feel more and more inadequate. The culture just makes me feel more and more inadequate, and yet I don't like any of it. You know, I don't necessarily want to have an opinion on the Barbie movie one way or the other. I guess I was curious because Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig wrote it, and it's just interesting to me Noah Baumbach's journey from like, you know, the squid and the whale and the Life Aquatic into sort of like somehow he wrote the fucking Barbie movie. Uh like he just did a Don DeLillo adaptation. So I'm just curious, you know, what's gonna happen in the Barbie movie? I was waiting to sort of be, you know, radicalized or something, and it just seemed to kind of avoid all of that. It didn't really seem to have a point or a message really at all. And it didn't even, to be honest, it kind of looked cheap. You know, for like, I don't know how much that movie cost, but it didn't, that's how a lot of stuff feels now. You know, you hear these movies cost $400 million, and you're like, what the fuck did they spend it on? It looks like shit. It's just a bunch of CGI dog shit. It's like, where did the money go? They just gave it a bunch of computer nerds? Like, that's pathetic. You're going to spend $400 million, give it to Jim Henson or somebody. Give it to somebody fucking cool. Who's going to fucking do some, you know, puppets or something. I don't know. I was entertained and amused by it, but I was not, like, impressed by, like... I didn't walk away, like, pissed off or hating it, though. And that's the thing, is, like, I'm only trying to discuss these things. And I'm sure my opinion just sounds like 2 steps behind and just, like, some kind of male hater bullshit. But, like, I don't know. I feel like we are the fucking minority point of view. That doesn't mean that it shouldn't exist. And, you know, when it comes to literature, it's like the same thing. It's just like, it's about who's hot, who's sexy, gets into these programs. They're like little celebrities on their book tours and shit. And they kind of toe the line politically. You know, it's like you have to fall in with these trends and these waves of kind of whatever the culture is deeming important or cool, and then you become like a star. It's like, oh, this person is like the incarnation of some kind of like flow or kind of stream kind of arising in the culture that we all kind of sent. Like Chalamet kind of feels that way. Timothy Chalamet is somebody that, like, my little brother's friends. My little brother is 11 years younger than me, so he's like Gen Z basically, and he has a friend Zach that I've known, you know, I've known since this kid was like, you know, 10 years old or 8 years old or something. And Zach has Timothy Chalamet energy. They're very, like, my age, somebody like me, I'm kind of sarcastic, I'm kind of like cynical, I have kind of like corny dad, whatever. My little brother, their age, they're more hip-hop inflected, they're a little smoother, they're a little more, I don't know, they're just easygoing. They don't stress in the same way. Like me, I'm like all anxiety, all stress. You know, like they have that Timothy Chalamet thing. I don't know what it is, but this kid has the same energy as Timothy Chalamet. And I think everybody, that's one reason why Chalamet is such a popular presence, is because he kind of embodies that generation. They go, oh yeah, I've met this guy, I've seen, this is totally the energy of Gen Z. He's just like super smooth and like easygoing, and like he's not like a millennial where we're just anxious and I do think millennial was more shaped by like the female point of view, did kind of dominate everything. And even the men, I think, are kind of seen through the women's eyes. You know, like somebody like Adam Driver, I think was a movie star that was chosen by women. I think when Lena Dunham cast him on Girls, that was like a choice that, like, you know, if you look at, like, Tom Cruise is 5'7", and like, you know, handsome in like kind of a pretty way. You know, whereas Adam Driver has got big hands. He's, you know, he's a big dude. But his face has a lot of character. He's like Gerard Depardieu or something. But I think he is somebody's idea of, a lot of women find him sexy. And a lot of women do not find Tom Cruise sexy. You know, Tom Cruise was probably a movie star chosen for other reasons, or the culture, you know, was at a different place. Whereas, like, Adam Driver is sort of like the essence of, he's the millennial kind of, I don't know, even, you know, whatever. I've talked about this a lot. It's like, I don't know, being in New York, I'm coming to a point in my life where it's like I guess I'm like just frustrated that I didn't make it, or like why am I not one of these people? Why didn't I define my generation or whatever in the same way? Why wasn't I chosen? Why didn't I stand out? Why am I not in the 0.0001% of the super talls of now it feels kind of arbitrary. It does feel like these people are chosen by these corporate kind of like Clear Channel owns everything. The movie studios have certain ideas about how they want to make their money back. That's different than the way it worked 50 years ago when somebody like Al Pacino, if you look at all these movie stars from the 70s, Al Pacino, Woody Allen. Al Pacino's like 5'6". Woody Allen's like 5'2". Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman is like 5'4". It's like these guys were not chosen because they're Machine Gun Kelly or they're fucking, Pete Davidson because they're 6'3", right? Back then, they could hide the fact that you're short. They could put you in fucking lifts or whatever. They could shoot it a certain way. Use fucking apple boxes. Now it's like everybody knows. Everybody knows everything, and they talk about it. Oh my God, look how tall he is. Look how tall fucking Bo Burnham is. He's 6'5". Like, I do think that has become... This is a reaction to 9/11, of course. I think we're so infantilized. We want that feeling of safety. We want a protector. That's what all of this shit is about. It's what all these fucking superhero movies are about. People want to be protected from 9/11. And, it's like these are, once again, these are Adam Driver's hosting SNL. These are the cool fucking people of, and you're not one of them. And don't you feel bad about yourself that you're not one of the most fuckable 0.001% freak genetic specimens in the out of the 10 billion, out of the 330 million Americans. You're not one of the handful of hot ass people that's also to me it seems like it's almost not that I don't know about Adam Driver. I haven't seen a lot of his work. I saw Patterson. It was garbage. It should have been me. I should have been in Patterson. It would have been a much better film if I had been in Patterson. Because I know that I am the character. They should have let me write the poems and everything. That was Jarmusch's mistake. But he didn't know. He didn't know. What could he have done? Obviously, I'm just a bitter... I never was. I'm a never was. And so I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to turn. Time is running out. And so it's like coming to terms with just being sort of like, can you even be a mom and pop of anything? Can you even conduct your little artistic life? I've been able to preserve it this long because of evading, so many different financial necessities, really. And that's not sustainable. Our culture wants you to get a corporate slave job. They don't want you to be an artist. They don't want you to have original vision. They don't want anybody to see your YouTube videos. It's all fucking pay to play is the other thing. You got to pay to promote your videos. You got to pay to promote your posts. You got to pay to promote your... And how are we going to come to terms with not making it? And what am I going to do with the rest of my life? Is the question I'm asking myself now. What am I going to do with the rest of my life? Like, I'm just trying to, like, that my comedy thing was sort of like an ill-advised, like, oh, maybe I could get into this. It's like, I don't know. I don't think that's really for me. So now I'm like looking at film stuff, and I'm like, maybe I could do like a film. Maybe I could get involved with film somehow. Because film, there is money. Like poetry, that That's something that's always in the back of my mind. Like, can I become an academic or something? You know, from what I hear, that's just those jobs are impossible to get to, and they don't pay you anything, and these people make $7 an hour when you actually divide it all out, and blah blah blah, and uh, so I don't know. I'm looking for. I don't know. Greatness. I'm looking for greatness. Is what I'm looking for, and it just feels like our culture. I don't know, is not nurturing in any way. You know, making these superhero films, these IP, these intellectual property fucking movies. You know, this is not nurturing. This is not art. It's giving certain people a shit. It's giving Robert Downey Jr. a shitload of fucking money. Great. Like, he needs more fucking money and houses and shit. Why does Seth Meyers not wear a fucking jacket on his TV show? I'm seeing all these clips of Seth Meyers at his desk interviewing people, and he's wearing like a button down with like the sleeves rolled up. It's like, dude, what the fuck? You're the host of this fuck. The pandemic's over, asshole. You got to go back to work now. Put on a fucking tie and jacket. You know, I don't know how he got that job. They should fire his ass immediately. And put, I mean, of all the white guys, get rid of Seth Meyers and put anybody who's not a white guy in that job. No one would even notice. Who watches Seth Meyers? There's nobody. Anybody who watches Seth Meyers sucks. Their opinion doesn't matter. They probably went to Georgetown. Okay, I mean, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so, I don't know. I'm just flailing around trying to figure out anything in my life. What's the next move? How am I gonna sustain? I mean, apparently we're never gonna be able to afford houses or anything anyway. So it's, it's not just me. It's not just me that's fucked. I mean, maybe not every millennial should have tried to been a bedroom producer promoting their music on Instagram. Maybe some of us should have figured out real businesses or something. It just seems like whatever is going on in the tax code, it's not, this country is not set up for small businesses or small anything to succeed. It's like you have to have a lot of money to begin with to even make your business work or make your career work. You have to be Rooney Mara or something. And America, it was started by corporations. These fucking charter companies or whatever it was in England, they came over. It was a corporation. They sold shares and they came over here to make fucking money and to exploit the landscape and to put most people to work, to get most people to be their slaves, essentially. And literally, in many cases. And, I don't know. What should I do? I guess I should work harder. I do feel like the culture just like, maybe this is getting old. But I think that's crazy. For one thing, how disposable everything in popular culture is. I guess what I'm talking about is popular culture, because we live in this era where it's like, if you don't have celebrity, if you're not a household name, you are just a failure, basically. At least that seems like the ultimate power. To be a household name is like the ultimate kind of like social status, clout, whatever, cred. And that's sort of what everybody's vying for, or like that's the illusion of social media, is that you're sort of vying for celebrity or fame or something. But it's like, what was it? I was watching something. He was like, there's kids alive today. They don't know what uh they don't know what MASH was. They don't know what Cheers was. They don't even know what the fuck it was. They don't know what All in the Family was. They don't know what fucking, not that these things are that important, I guess, but like, there are people, it seems that way, especially in our culture, especially in pop culture, is like, you can be really famous and then like 50 years from that, nobody even knows who you were. Fanny Bryce. Does anybody even know who Fanny Bryce was? Listen to Joe Franklin. Listen to Memory Lane. You won't know who any of these fucking people were. Do you know who Rudy Valley is? People hear that music now, it gives them the ick. They go, I don't want to hear that old people music. That makes my fucking penis soft. It's giving me old man, it's gross. People, I think women especially, they hate, like, they need something, like, new. Anything's old, they're like, that's, like, 6 months ago. No, we need the new thing, What's the new shiny object? Not to gender it or be sexist, but it seems like women are more susceptible to that kind of shit. I don't know. That's why they go hand in hand. The disposable kind of consumerist, materialist culture kind of goes hand in hand with Barbie feminism. Just buy more shit, Barbie. Malibu Barbie. Barbie's got a car. Barbie's got a fucking hot tub. She's got the dream house. Ken is just a fucking accessory. She's got different outfits and shit. They're going rollerblading. They need a certain outfit. The movie seemed kind of half-baked to me. It just didn't really seem like... It was just cliches, basically. There was like a quirky kind of sense of humor, which I thought was kind of feminine, which was entertaining and kind of refreshing, I would say. Women should be fucking, obviously, women should be writers and directors. They probably would be way better at it than men. That doesn't mean that they have to come after us and just like beat the shit out of us for being what we are. It's like, look, we're millennials. We're nothing. I'm 5'8", okay? I'm null set, okay? They fucking sold us out. We have nothing. We are nothing. Please take care of me. Or at least just like, don't beat me up, okay? Like, no one's trying to deny your fucking rights or anything. At least I'm not. I love women, god damn it. I celebrate women. I went into the 2010s so fucking bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and open-eyed and supportive of women. I used to say, I moved to New York to learn about women and to support women, and it just felt like the last 5 years, it's just like we've been just getting shit on and beat up, and it's just like, God, look, we have nothing. You have everything. You've got a fucking Barbie movie. We're just kin, okay? Are you happy that you can't find anybody dateable? Because there's no eligible partners, because the only men that have any money are these fucking capitalist fucking assholes, finance bros, bad people. There's no way to win being like a human being anymore. Nobody wants that. They want synthetic. They want taller, faster, richer. They want somebody that, they have to stand on their tiptoes to compete with. And it's just like, look, I'm a loser. It used to be cool to be a loser. I don't know. Whatever happened to being a slacker? We have hustle culture, which just means you have 5 jobs and can't afford an apartment. It just means getting used to working your ass off and having no You know, here's another thing I want to talk about. When I was the sense of interior design, when I worked for this media company, Media Machine, they designed their own office. And granted it was a bunch of macho dudes with like ripped muscles and shit who were on the wrestling team. But when they designed their office, right, it was all this just fucking poured concrete. You know, their fucking like conference table was literally like Conan the Barbarian's like sacrificial altar. It was literally like a concrete fucking like austere, cold, no comfort, no ornamentation, no cushioning, no fucking like no even like design or anything. You know, it was all like repurposed wood. You know, everything millennial aesthetic was like, let's repurpose some farm wood and some bourbon aged barrel fucking whiskey and like let's grow big beards like we're Mumford and Sons and shit. God, it sucked. Millennial fucking culture was so ugly. It's not my fault, okay? We had no support. We were stillborn as a generation. We had no resources. We couldn't move out of our parents' house. We couldn't travel anywhere. We couldn't hitchhike. Everything, you know, gas was $4 a gallon. There were 2 fucking wars. Everybody was fucking stultified from 9/11. Saddled in student loan debt. You thought you had to go to college. That was the narrative your parents were selling you. You got to go to college. You have to. I was the only person in my fucking family to get a college degree. So now I look like the idiot. This dumbass went to college. He believed all the bullshit. I don't know. So anyway, Seth Meyers, why are you wearing a fucking button down? You're fucking fired, asshole. I think they should do a new version of The Apprentice called The Woke Apprentice. And it's like the opposite, where it's like they try to get white people to play by the politically correct rules, and if they fail, they get canceled. You're canceled. The Woke Apprentice. So, you know, they'd cancel Trump, for instance. Anyway, so yeah. We're just being like force-fed garbage food. You know, there's soy in the music. There's soy in the fucking Marvel movies. And so what are we supposed to do? You know, like, even the literary culture just like celebrates all the fucking stupidity and shit. I saw this picture in the New York Times. It was Rachel Rabbit White and Nico Walker and shit. And it's like, I don't know. I don't even know. Who are the good fucking writers? You know, where are they? Is it us? Am I even a part of this? You know, have I wasted my life doing this? Am I stupider than everybody else? I just don't, you know, why has nothing worked? Why has nothing took for me? I've wasted the last 15 years of my life trying to do poetry. And like, no one even, you know, I'm a loser. I'm a fucking loser. You know, I feel like I have a knowledge. What do I do with it? You know, you know, assimilate into some kind of academic corporate structure, apparently. You know, there's less ways out. There's less alternatives. You know, you can't live outside some kind of fucking 60-hour-a-week job or something just to pay your bills, or else you die. You don't get health insurance. You know, my teeth are all fucked up. The food is killing us. I do think that they use our media to like make us uneasy. You know, I do think they put a lot of violence and like divisive things. I do think a lot of our movies and like television shows are like social patterning, and especially from Hollywood. I mean, maybe I do sound like some kind of anti-coastal elite, but I think that they do like pattern a lot of bad behavior through fucking movies and TV. They teach people how to be awkward, how to be neurotic, how to doubt themselves. You know, shallow, superficial. Like, I grew up watching Seinfeld, and Seinfeld, the values of that show, the characters are all just trying to do whatever it is that's gonna, I don't know. They're selfish. Oh, fuck. What am I even doing? I mean, I do this. Nobody even watches this. Why do I do this? I'm all over the place with this. Am I even... I feel like... you know, like, you don't... I don't want to be like the complaining guy that's like, culture sucks now, and here's why. It used to be better when everything was pentatonic blues riffs. And Woodstock, man. And, you know, everything's... But... I definitely felt... Oh, shit, this has been open. Okay. I definitely felt, personally, a change in the fucking culture, you know, around the time of, like, TRL and shit, and Clear Channel, and, even with these YouTube videos and shit, you know, like, I've been watching... Or fucking TikTok videos or whatever it is, the so-called content, you know, that like gets millions or hundreds of thousands of views. You know, this is, you know, one reason why I don't necessarily mind not having that many views. It's like in order to get that many views, a lot of these videos just take on some kind of like, okay. One of the reasons why I was talking about that, about TV shows and how they're patterning us, because I watched this video that was by this fucking guy where he was talking about how he doesn't like a lot of the more recent TV shows, and he used Game of Thrones as an example because he thought it modeled bad behavior for people, you know, and I agree. You know, Game of Thrones is like a bleak fucking show, and it's like a lot of it is just like pornographic. It's torture porn. It's like, what's some new way we can figure out to kill or mutilate some character that's like titillating, but also like, oh my god, that's fucking reprehensible. But people are still watching it every fucking week, and the characters are all... And so I'm watching this video saying, oh, you know, this guy, this is pretty interesting. I've never actually heard anybody, you know, really else mention this about... You know, it's like that Wim Wenders monologue from Alice in the Cities, where he's talking about all of our programs are commercials for the status quo, basically. You know, they're commercials for a certain way of life, a certain kind of behavior, the stories that they're telling us through our television shows are models for how we should live and what's normal. And so I'm watching this guy's video, and I slowly realize he's Christian. The reason why he's got 1 million fucking views is because there's all these fucking Christian people in the comments like, yes, TV is very dirty now. That's what I mean. It's like this Beato guy or whatever, this music guy... I started watching a couple of his videos, like I said, about the blues-based thing and how that's... Why does music suck now? And it's like, this guy is the dad rock, you know, why does music suck now guy? You know, like anybody who has that opinion already, they find him and they go, hey, this guy's pretty fucking smart, actually. Yeah, it's because there's no blues music like fucking, you know, Clapton in the 70s and Allman Brothers. It's like... Shit has moved on so far from that, you know? But there's an entire consumer base of people who grew up listening to classic rock and shit, and that's their fucking opinion. I've got the hiccups. Trying to smoke and talk and... You know, these opinions may not be popular. They're not even, like, boiled down. You know, it's like you gotta boil shit down for people. You gotta, you know...
You just got to say stuff that's real cut and dry to get across. Somebody was saying all of the indie film energy went into television. That show Fargo, right? That was an indie film from the 90s. I haven't seen the show, but it seems like it's like quirky, and Kirsten Dunst is on it. All these like movie stars, Chris Rock and shit. I want to see fucking art. You know, I want to see a fucking cast of. I want to see a fucking Fellini movie. I don't want to see the Maestro, man. All right, so maybe we'll do a best of. What's some of my other best of 23? I was trying to think about best of the open mic, just best performances I saw maybe all year. I don't know. It's all such a fucking Freak World was fun as hell. I love going to Freak World. I definitely had some of the best performances I saw. You know, my own personal best of. I mean, it was a banner year, even though, you know, I was kind of all over the place and like didn't really get to enjoy it. Maybe it just like had to getting through it was just like, you know, just doing it. But you know, getting to do Boog City, reading Unnameable, reading with Philip, you know, a bunch of times. You know, Philip, spending time with Philip, doing Eddie's workshop. A lot of that stuff was like breakthrough kind of stuff. Even though, you know, like, I don't even remember, other than when people ask me for stuff, I don't even remember. The last time I probably submitted things for publication was like 2021, maybe. So I'm like starting to think more. Should I write some things to get published or try to publish things? And, you know, as a man of letters, like Casanova, you know, I want to try to spend more time with my books and just writing. You know, like I've kind of, not that I've gotten that out of my system, but like I've gotten to do so much on stage over the past year or whatever that now I'm kind of like, okay, well, I don't know. I've gotten kind of my show business. You know, I'm sure that was kind of embarrassing for everybody to suffer through, but like, you know, I got to kind of live my show business fantasy, so I kind of got that out of my system. Even though I'd love to be a success and actually be in show business. So I'm just on shuffle. I'm on the Scenes from a Life playlist. It's the 200th episode. So I'm just shuffling and sort of, it's randomly kind of jumping around through the timeline. I think that's a fun way to watch. You know, it jumps from 2015 to 2020 to, you know, 2017 or whatever. It's kind of interesting to see different bits and pieces. Non-linear. A beginning, a middle, and end, and not necessarily in that order. So yeah, I don't know. What do I have to do to like make it real to people?
Do I even have it in? Like, what is my purpose here? Like, uh, what can I do as a writer to make people take me more seriously, to actually get published, to conduct my, or is that even who I am? You know what I mean? Like, am I ready to settle down in that way? My whole 30s have been this kind of frenetic journey through stages, New York City stages, and it's like living on an edge though, and living on a thin line, and it's one thing to be able to do that when you have a rent controlled apartment, right? That's how these poets kind of sustain their lives as artists. And I don't know. I'm not sure what the move is for people our age. We don't have that privilege. We don't have the privilege of rent controlled apartments. Uh, which is just another kind of wealth that we don't have. A way that we've been ripped off. Uh, like our culture is a hegemony, so getting into the nooks and crannies of this and trying to unpack it and give an opinion about these things, I think is important. Trying to make sense of the moment we're in and just be fair about it, or at least, I don't know, give my own point of view. These hiccups, man. Ay, ay, ay. And so I'm not like I said, I'm not anti-feminist. I'm not trying to be, you know, but we're just discussing it here. And I don't know. Recently, I've just been thinking about. I turned 30. My brother's about to turn 40. I feel real bad. I got sick last week, so it kind of torpedoed my whole week. And so I wish I would have gotten home. I wish I was home right now, right, doing this in Columbus. But I got sick, and so it's just whatever. But it's my brother's 40th birthday, and I wish I could be there. Um, I'm a piece of shit, right? And I was thinking about my 30th birthday and how my 30s started out so hopefully, and just how they've kind of disappeared. I'm sure a lot of people feel this way about the last few years, where it's just like, for me, basically everything since 2018 just feels like, I don't know, where did my 30s go, right? I feel like I was 32, and now all of a sudden I'm almost 40. And there's just kind of like this Bermuda Triangle in the middle of my 30s where I'm like, what did I do? Even though I did a lot, I mean, 2020, obviously, that pandemic was sort of its own black hole of, loss of productivity or whatever, but, uh, I don't know. It's just like I look back, I feel like you know, as a writer, there's some sense that like it takes longer maybe for your talent to develop, or it's that's okay. Uh, but our culture's obsessed with youth, and you have to prove yourself at a young age. It seems if you want to be one of the greats, and I don't. I felt like I was a slow starter in a lot of ways, and at a certain point, the cultural zeitgeist just got so fucking like, I don't know. I mean, what it I don't know, it got nuts. And so here we are on the other side trying to pick up the pieces. And you know, I'm proud of like the body work. I guess that's one reason I'm showing the videos here, and you know, my writing and whatnot. And but I'm also like, I don't know, I feel like I need to be a better person. I need to be more present for people and more giving. And I don't know. Am I an NPC? You know, are we all raised to think that we're gonna be superstars and the main character, and then you grow up and you just find yourself and you're the second, you know, second camera department, and you're the second lead, and there's something you're missing, you don't know what it is. You're not actually aware, you're not actually fast as you thought you were. And so what do? You can't, I don't know. You can't come up with anything that's interesting that the culture seems to want. Nobody wants to watch your live streams. Nobody wants to click your vlogs. Your poetry sucks. You're a bad person. You have no money. You're a suck on society. You're just a resource suck. And what do you do? How do you face that? How do you get even? Oh God, I don't know. How did I fumble it? I fumbled it. I fumbled it all so badly. It's not like there's a door that, you know what I mean? There's no door that you can go in, and there's just like, there it is. Or I don't know. I guess the poetry project is sort of the door in a way, but I got there at the wrong time. Like, you know, or at least I couldn't handle it. And I don't even know what the fuck I could. You know, I'm lazy. I'm incompetent. I've always been lazy and incompetent. It's a surprise to me too. It's a shock to me too. I think that people have an expectation when they meet me because of, I don't know, my winning demeanor. They think, oh man, wow, this guy's real. This is gonna be something. This is gonna be something. Can't wait to see what this guy's gonna do. And then they see it and they're like, this guy's fucking nuts. That was insane. And like shitty. I don't know. Maybe I should try to manifest something positive. You know, the New York Times, New Yorker. Come on, somebody. Write an article about the strange, magnificent world, you know, of this poet of the streets. There's no draw. I don't know. Nobody wants to come to the gigs. I guess we should work harder and try to communicate better to people. Try not to take any shortcuts. You know, I think I try to take the shortcut. You can't take the shortcut. That's why you're 38. Because you try to take the shortcut. And the shortcut actually is the long way. Because you get lost and... Ay, ay, ay. Here's something I see in the comments section of TikTok videos regularly. The loudest is the weakest. That's something people... That's like a maxim. The loudest is the weakest. Well, I'm sort of famously loud. Am I the weakest? I don't know. Life is. I mean, I definitely feel like a wimp. I was watching this. It was a Triple H, right? Apparently, WWE is good again because Vince McMahon, for a myriad of reasons. Well, he just sold it or whatever. They just sold it to Endeavor or something. UFC and WWE are like one company now or something, or they're both under Endeavor. But I guess I don't know. But Triple H apparently has taken over creative, and it's the first time in like forever that for like literally since like the 80s, that Vince McMahon has not been in control of creative, and so it's apparently WWE is like really good again because Triple H is in control, who I never really liked, but he's emblematic of our current world. He just did everything he could to get up the boss's ass, and that's a big company that will do anything. It could be really interesting if they had interesting storylines. That's what I've heard is he's more influenced by what else other things that are going on TV and in the culture, and so there's a lot of opportunity there. It's the best fucking sports entertainment, right, company. They should, if it's that big of a brand and that on that level, they should have fucking stories that compete with Hollywood and Game of Thrones and shit like that. It shouldn't be any different. It should be that level of power. But it was Triple H training people on like it's one of those like how to how to be a superstar shit or whatever. I don't remember what Tough Enough or something on MTV, and he's giving them the spiel about what it's like, the life, and he's like, forget about your family. You're on the road 200 days a year, 300 days a year. Your kids, they grow up. You don't see them. Your wife, she's alone. You're out on the road. You don't see her. He's like, you got a tummy ache. Your tooth hurts. You still got to go to work. It's like, I don't know. I've always been a wimp. I'd like to think that I'm tough. And I've definitely gone to work sick plenty of times. That's the American way. You never miss a day's work, but I don't know. I got sick and I just needed a break. At the end of the year, I have been going all freaking year, working, carrying shit, running back and forth between that stage and the console, doing sound 100 fucking times every Monday, signing people up. So the best of 23, the best movies I saw. I mean, the Hal Hartley movies, you got to go with the Hal Hartley movies, absolutely. This is just off the top of my head, the most memorable shit off the top of my head. What else? Yeah, I mean, the Fellini Casanova movies up there. I have to, I got to get on my letterbox. I'm using my phone, so I can't look at my letterbox, so it's like I can't really access what I saw, but 2023, it was a great year, I don't really know how to fucking break through and take it to the next level. I guess we're close. If I filmed the open mic and packaged it the right way, it could be something that more people would watch on the internet. I've got this kind of defiant. I'm like insistently impoverished. My aesthetic, it's like insistently no budget, and so I could definitely upgrade my cameras and shit for the 2023. I mean, oh Christ, I don't know, guys. I'd like to get a real interview show with real, hard-hitting interviews with people that I know that are artists and things. I mean, I guess it's really for 24. It's just about continuing keep doing shows. You know, I'd love to get more literary events. I don't know how to talk that world into taking me seriously as like a public figure. You know, like I feel like I'm just like unbookable. Who's gonna book me? I'm crazy and I'm a white guy and uh I don't know. What can I do? I need a new angle on things. I need a new how can I get deeper? What can I tap into? I guess I could do some psychedelics or something. You know, how can I uh go further or touch something deeper with my art? Should I take it more seriously? Am I too flippant? You know, my poetry it can be very like tossed off in a way that is like once again kind of hostile almost. And but yet I exist. I mean, I'm still in New York writing the literary, you know, story for better or for worse. You know, when you move to New York, there's all these different things that you think you could do. Maybe you'll, you know, be an actor, be in film, be a musician, be a fucking, you know, whatever. I don't know. I guess I came here to be a writer predominantly. I mean, poetry is the thing that like that's what I enjoy spending my time doing. That's what it feels like the most. And so, how do I bring that to, you know, I would like to bring that to a big audience. You know, that's what I'm trying to do with this. I'm trying to figure out how to have some kind of verbal form that accommodates what I've learned from poetry and the life of, you know, what it is to be a poet, which I find very exciting and something, you know, I think the public is interested in this. You know, if you want to talk about hip hop dominating world culture, I mean that is poetry. That is a form of public verbal uh uh sharing. And they're doing what they're doing is, you know, a different branch of, you know, what people are doing at open mics and things all over town at poetry readings. And I don't know, got to make it rhyme, I guess. Put a beat to it, make it rhyme. I don't know. You know, once again, our culture is youth obsessed. So it's like with music, I don't, I don't know, man. I mean, I enjoy playing music. I think we all do. I think that's why we try to monetize it. That's why we try to make careers out of it because like we were trying to escape corporate living and office living and, you know, have, you know, all the trappings of rock stardom and live that kind of fantasy life or whatever. But it's also just fun to play music and it's natural to do poetry over a beat and you know that was one of the best things of 2023. Angel Lugo, BK Native, Coco, all the hip hop. You know, one of the strongest parts of the open mic was the rap contingent. All the people that brought beats and fucking. I had no idea. I mean, that's been eye opening to me, right? That there are that many SoundCloud rappers. People talk about them like they're stand-up comedians. Like, oh, you don't want to get knocked up by a SoundCloud rapper or something. Like it's like this cultural, you know, the guy's trying to be Macklemore. Or who's the other guy who died? Not Mac DeMarco. Who's the other rap guy that died who was white? Mac something. Fuck, I can't remember. But it's just crazy. There needs to be a new thing, is what I'm saying. You know, it's like we've had there's too many white people doing it now. There's too many white people doing hip hop. Too many white people have figured out. If you watch any Andrew Callahan video, he always find a white person who will freestyle rap. Chet Hanks, for instance, right? Chet Hanks. Once Chet Hanks has happened, it's like there needs to be a new. They got to come up with something cooler. You know, white people have you know they're out freestyling everywhere. This is not good. There needs to evolve into something else. There's got to be something cooler than this. if white people have figured it out. So I don't know, man. It's just all fucking the publishing industry in this fucking country. I don't know. I'd like to believe my narrative is super like appealing to some kind of you could totally sell my journey to like, oh wow, this guy was, he's on public access TV. He runs these parties, this open mic. He does poetry readings. He's this sort of like weird, termite in the big fucking, city, and somehow he exists, and he publishes these zines, and he works at the fucking poetry project, famous whatever historic place. And he's got 10 years of fucking vlogs and blah, blah. That could totally be like a kind of a weird, quirky talk of the town piece or profile or something. I don't know, man. It's like, if I sent my stuff to the right magazine and I sent the right pieces, like the last thing I was in, that it was this online magazine edited by Sandra Simons, who is an excellent poet. And like she understands what I'm trying to do, right? Like they published my fucking piece, like they got what it was, they liked it. Like not everybody gets what I'm doing or likes it, but like I'd like to believe that there's a fucking handful of these people in this country that might. I wish they worked at Poetry Magazine. I wish they worked at the fucking New Yorker, but they don't. I don't know. But I don't know. I've just found my experience going face to face and going head to head with New York City Poetry World has been so fucking discouraging. And it's painful. It's been a lot of pain. My history, I've been doing this pretty much longer than most of the people that I know. Most of the people that I know kind of got to New York either around the pandemic or kind of after the pandemic or something. And they've had, they're where I am already. They're already on my level. I've been here since 2010. And, the first couple years, I guess, I was just trying to figure out kind of my way in and who I was, I guess. So, I was almost 30. I would say I was 28, 29 before I even really did a poetry reading that I felt like, okay, this is sort of starting to approach who I am. 29, 30 is when I felt like, okay, I've kind of arrived at what I want to communicate, and I'm writing from my own point of view and sharing it with people, and it was scary. It was definitely very scary, and I was nervous the whole time, and that's why it's been a hard time. It wasn't like I got to New York. It wasn't like I got here and immediately fell in with the fucking giants of literature, and they all said, oh, hey, we love you. Let's all fucking go to dinner, and we'll help you. They've all been assholes to me, okay? And granted, I have a shitty attitude, and I'm high on drugs all the time, but my heroes have all been fucking assholes. None of them helped me. They I don't know. Some of them were kind of nice in sort of like a kind of a teeth gritted resentful way. But I feel like I've given a lot more to poetry than I've gotten out of it. Or at least like I get everything out of poetry, but it doesn't have anything to fucking do with other poets. For the most part. I mean, I love other poets. I love being around poets. To me, it is like my life and my joy and my milieu and the scene of my, I don't even know why. I guess maybe this is a midlife crisis, why I'm trying to like do this other shit. Like, oh, maybe I'll do comedy, or maybe I'll try to be a filmmaker or something. It's like, I already kind of love what I do. It's just like, I feel like there's just no way to advance. I feel like I'm kind of probably always going to be looked at as kind of like this kind of annoying minor chip on his shoulder, and like So what am I supposed to do? Like, what do I do? How do I get famous? How do I get rich? How do I buy a townhouse in the West Village? How do I afford to buy my parents anything ever? How do I become a cultural icon? How do I get in the Time 100? Okay, how do I get the fucking New Yorker magazine to bow like they do before these schmucks? It's the New Yorker is just as much a part. There's soy in the New Yorker, okay? It's degraded. It's synthetic and it's corporate. It's all stockholder bullshit. It's completely homogenized, watered down bullshit. Word salad, word salad, word salad, okay? The New Yorker, I'm much too lazy to really be involved with that, but like if they publish Michael Robbins and they think that's like edgy. Oh my God, Michael Robbins said dick in his fucking poem, and it's in the New Yorker. Fuck Michael Robbins. You know why people take him seriously? Because he went to University of Chicago. It's all that matters. It's like, oh, this guy went to Harvard. Oh, he went to Iowa. Oh, you know so and so. Oh, so and so fucking. You use your own fucking eyes and ears, okay? When I'm out there in the clubs at open mic, I judge everybody equally, and there's some magnificently talented poets who are like famous and shit, and you get why, but whew, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I mean, I don't even get to have the conversations about poetry that I would like to have. I feel like poets are all insanely competitive and fucking I don't know how they all hang out with each other, to be honest. Maybe they're more well adjusted than I am. Maybe my ego is just so fucking huge I can't handle any kind of slight towards me whatsoever. If anybody says anything even slightly not co- complimentary in the utmost to me, I get pissed off about it. It's hard. And maybe so it's like it's a deadly combination. I spent most of my time in New York kind of on the periphery, afraid to like really but watching, I saw everything, I saw a lot. I saw Tommy Pico. I was at a party at Morgan Parker's house. I was in Morgan Parker's apartment. I got invited. My friend took me to a party at Morgan Parker. Or no, it wasn't Morgan Parker's apartment. It was not Morgan Parker's apartment. Forget I said that. It was this other guy's house. Morgan Parker was at the park. That's what it was. But I was just, I don't know. I've always felt uh I don't know, when you're just, cold calling shit, that's different than entering into it through an MFA program, through some kind of pedigree. You don't have that final finish of what your writing is going to be about. I feel like I did, you know, I learned everything I know at Poet's House. Every fucking thing I know, I learned because of the books they have at Poet House and in the bookstores of New York City. Just buying shit on the dollar racks. That's where I learned every fucking thing I know. I didn't learn anything from any workshop I took ever. Workshops are fun and they are educational in a way, but like in our current culture, they're like the final say on who you are, basically, as a poet or as a writer. And I find that real fucking weird. I find that just very childish. It's like it's just a big nursery. The whole academia thing is just a big fucking nursery. And it's like, whatever happened to getting on a fucking oil tanker and going to Fiji and then getting shipwrecked and having to survive on fucking piss water? No, I'm kidding. And then writing a novel about it. No, I don't know. It's like I don't want to be some like broed out macho Scott McClanahan. It's like you have to be Sam Pink or some kind of cultural cliche. These fucking editors are so myopic. They're just like they're not out there in the shit. They're not brushing up with the fucking frustration and the soul. That creates soul. Adversity. Being out there with the lepers and the people. That's what it's really about, okay? That's where the church is. the church of literature. That's where all the healing gets done. These MFA programs are just fucking CIA outreach. They're like Hollywood. They want to brainwash all of the people that think they're writers. They want to get you into the little pig pen and put the little fucking vitamin drugs into your little fucking snout and fucking brand your ass, and then they fucking send you back out to roll around the mud with your other little fucking the people that you've been fraternized with, and the people that you've been, your work family, your cohort. And I don't know. I like doing it in bars. I like going to Tile Bar after the reading and having one too many vodkas, fucking tonics, and falling in love with the barmaid, as Ted Berrigan says. There has to be a alcoholic tradition of outsider artists. There has to be a meeting place, readings, venue, and we're doing it. We're keeping it alive, but it's also very competitive, and I just feel like the more you broaden your message, the more you kind of make it obvious to people the character that you're fucking playing or something. That's what gets across. And writing some kind of, I don't know, like titillating, like flash fiction. Writing some kind of like pseudo sci-fi fan flash fiction. And I will not fuck with that, okay? I'm an avant-garde goddamn poet. I'm the only one in this fucking country. I'm the only one with the courage to be fucking incomprehensible and angry and off-putting. There's something about poetry that's supposed to be off-putting and anti-sociable. We're off-putting. We're not eating pudding. No, we're off-putting. And we're antisocial. I don't know. I guess that's a cliche that I adopted when I became a failure. As I became more of a failure, I protected myself. I read this Tom Clark biography of Jack Kerouac, and it talks about how Jack Kerouac detested the New York literary establishment. And he sort of developed this just resentful, hateful attitude towards them. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll do that. That sounds right. And when you come up against it, though, it's like these people live in such high towers. They live in such high fucking towers. It's like they won't even fucking touch you unless you went to Harvard, Yale, unless you're in New York Times, The Atlantic, The New Yorker. They will not even fucking touch you, okay? You are trash. You're a trash person, okay? And that's what's frustrating about the politics of the last few years, is there's just been no way for the little person to get into the big world, right? It's you're born from money, you come from money, you're Taylor Swift, your parents were in finance, you're from New York, you're Timothy Chalamet, you grew up on fucking 49th Street or whatever. Like, it's just like you have some kind of advantage from the get-go, and they want those people. They want the best people. They want the fanciest people. They want, and they can get anybody. And so, I don't know. In a certain way, I don't even think, like, I see talent, but the ways that people use it is so robotic. People don't actually know how to, make a fucking song that anybody wants to hear. All that anybody does is play in their bedrooms by themselves. When my dad fucking learned to play music, he went to the music store and he played with fucking people from, fucking Appalachia and shit. All the people from the hills would come to the music store because it was the only thing to do. They lived in fucking Appalachia. They didn't have electricity. They shit in a hole in the ground. So they drive to the music store on the weekend and, have a fucking jamboree. So he learned everything from playing with other people. That doesn't happen. It's people playing with loop station pedals. It's people who are bedroom producers. I mean, with writing, I don't know. It's like we're all doing open mics and shit, but it's like I don't know how to get better, how to get deeper, how to it's like the money has spoiled these metropolises. So it's like even though there is this 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 meeting of the minds that's happening and convivial like group, it's like it's not the people are not actually that interesting. It's just like the hottest people from everywhere. And it's like where's like the characters? Where's like the fucking freaks? Where's like the story? It's like it's just everybody's hot and they want to be writers. It's like great. Like that's cool. I love having sex with hot writers. There's nothing I like more. That's why New York is a utopia, because it's full of hot writers. There's nothing hotter than a hot writer. It's almost an oxymoron, if you ask me. I think, to be honest, I think it's almost like a law of nature that, like, the uglier you are, the more authentic you are as a poet. You can't be that hot, and it's just not. You have to be ugly to be a poet. It's just a law. You have to be really ugly to be a poet. Like, like that's just my opinion. Look at Marion Moore, okay, and tell me I'm wrong. She was an amazing poet, one of the greatest poets. But typically, if you're hot, I don't know. It's like, it's just like, it's still the best. And we do live in a very interesting time for that. But it's also just like, it's like with comedy. When I see comedy, it's like, this is just a bunch of hot people that want to be comedians. They don't seem like comedians to me. They're just like a bunch of hot people that want to be famous, and so they decide, okay, I'll do comedy. I mean, I don't know. I think people love books. People want to be writers. I think that's great. We need more fucking literary culture. Whatever the fuck that means. Like that means discussing online. But it's like our culture's not allowing the nuance. These fucking YouTube videos are not nuanced. It's like they want to support an opinion that people already fucking have, and you're supposed to make some kind of convincing video essay about that. And like my fucking shit is not like that. It's sloppy, it's lazy. It's your job to figure out what the fuck I'm talking about. No, I mean, I don't know. I think that it's you can use it however you want. There should be a place for messiness in culture and figuring things out as we go, and improvisation and yada yada yada. And this is the perfect venue for it. This is the perfect forum. And I wish that I was Joe Pera and was 7 feet tall. Or who's the guy, Dan Licata, who's 7 feet tall. Okay? Apparently you have to be 7 feet tall now to be famous. Women only want to fuck you if you are Bigfoot. The bigger the better. They are just into that. It's sick. It's sick with them. Okay? I complain about it constantly on my show. What else do we need to talk about? Poetry, okay? Literary life. That's why I came to fucking New York. I want to be fucking Bartleby the Scrivener, god damn it. I want a life in the theater, like on Cherry Lane. I like David Mamet. I don't give a fuck. I mean, that's the other thing that makes the literary world not very interesting, or at least, like, it's not that it's not interesting, it just feels like so much pressure because of the politics of it. Not that the politics are wrong, but they're so lockstep. Everybody posts the same fucking memes about Palestine. They're all doing it at the same time, posting the same shit. And it's like, okay, I agree with this. That my problem is not that politics. The problem is that, like, that's what all of the fucking hot MFA people who went to Iowa do. And it's like, that's not really writing. Somehow we're in a position now that is writing. The activism in your identity and the activism of your identity somehow is the fucking content. That is the literature. As a writer, that's who they want. It's not about what you have to say, per se. It's about, well, you're a fucking white guy, so shut the fuck up, basically. You know, and whatever. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? I love talking for 2 hours. You know that I love my voice, and I love hearing the sound of my voice for hours at a time, even though no one is watching. What is the insanity of that, right? We're mansplaining here, okay? It doesn't matter if anyone's listening. I have a poll. Do women watch this other than Ashley? There's no way that any women watch this. And I don't know why. I don't know. You know, I'm not trying to mansplain or anything. Okay, what were the best books I read? Did I even read anything? You know, like I said, I've been so pissed at literature. The literary world has been such a fucking heartbreaker for me that I can't even look at these goddamn books. I loved Zhukovsky A. That was one of the best books I've looked at this year. Zhukovsky's A. Um, right now, I'm looking at this book, Blue Book by Steve Benson. It's pretty good. I've been looking at Times Square Red, Times Square Blue. It's phenomenal. But I read that kind of last year. What else? Anne Waldman's book. She has this poem about Rolling Thunder Review. That's really good. What is that book? Kill or Cure. I like that one. I would love to get the new Anne Waldman book, Bard, Electric, or Kinetic, or whatever it is. I would love to read that. Honestly, a lot of, I mean, I do think Anne Waldman is actually very underrated as a poet. And what she's doing is like so subtle that it's, you know, she should be Anne Carson or something, the way that people treat Anne Carson. But um, some of her strongest writing is like her extemporaneous speech. In a lot of her essays and things, her prose is amazing, but it's poet's prose. She writes prose like a poet. It's got that sense of invention and musicality and alphabetic kind of excellence and whatnot, and you know, just kind of playful freedom of form and shit. What else? What else? Best of literature. God. Uh, Fuck. I mean, that Julian Poirier fucking zine that Ashley has is pretty amazing. This guy does this. He's called. Is it called Night Mail or something? It's like Mail University. If you're friends with him, he like sends. And I think this is what I was trying to do with my fucking chat books. Is like I have these manila envelopes that my chat books like fit perfectly into. So I wanted to do like mail art, you know, where I could like literally mail my fucking chat book to anybody for 40 cents. My mom gave me all these envelopes from her office, and you know, you get your literature all over the United States, you know, potentially over the world. So he has these amazing. It's like, you know, these amazing color, amazing paper stock, this mail art that was pretty incredible. God, what else? Reading at Yale, that was one of the highlights of the year, of course. I like Ashley's one sentence novel. That's probably one of my favorite things of the year. I wish she would stick with that. I think that's an incredible piece of avant-garde literature. You know, if you want to write like a book that's going to make you a bunch of money, good for you. But you know, I do think it's somebody's duty to just like be uncommunicative. It's somebody's duty to just like, you know, what about the language poets? Okay, one of the best things I read, Grand Piano 2. The Grand Piano is this really amazing series that the language poets they were kind of self-conscious about being a movement and that they put a name on it and shit. But I thought what they were doing was interesting, and it's kind of it's like postmodernism, I guess. And so a lot of people in the moment that we're in look at that as kind of like an indulgence and kind of white privilege or something. And a lot of I think they're all white, maybe the language poets. But you know, they were politically engaged, and a lot of their work was politically motivated. You know, the technique that Ron Silliman kind of lays out in the new sentence is all about deconstructing the fucking power structures that capitalists, corporate America uses to fucking brainwash people, basically. And so language poetry is a way of undressing the syntax and deconstructing the syntax was theoretically a way of sort of warring against the state. That's, what I'm sort of attempting to copy or whatever. I thought that kind of made sense. There's an amazing audio essay on Pin Sound of Bruce Andrews talking about Rimbaud and shit. But people our age just sort of went this other way, where it's like they disavow any kind of like postmodernism and sort of abstract expressionism was started by the CIA. It's a psyop, right? Which I don't agree at all. I think that that's bullshit. I think fucking NSYNC is a fucking psyop. I think Britney is a fucking psyop. I think Barbie is a goddamn psyop. I don't think language poetry or fucking Jackson Pollock is a fucking psyop. I think fucking Iowa Writers Workshop might... Why did they create all these MFA programs? Why has there been an explosion of these fucking programs in the last 30 years? Like, why? Follow the money, okay? Follow the money, okay? It's all... Who knows? It's the loans, it's banks, it's the debt. You can pay the percentage of your debt and not even pay any of the principal. You could be paying decades on your student loan and you're not even paying any of the fucking principal. That's one reason for the fucking MFA programs, I guarantee you. And so people who are already financialized, Kevin McAllister, I guarantee you Kevin McAllister could afford to go to an MFA program. But if you're poor... I don't know. It's just, you have to play ball, right? You have to learn what they want to fucking teach you. They don't want you to write language poetry. I don't know. I don't think they're teaching language poetry. So anyway, Grand Piano was, whatever. I think there's 12 of them. And it's a memoir, basically. And they all write basically one chapter each time. And they had a reading series at this place called the Grand Piano because they had a grand piano there. And so it's named after that. It's about San Francisco in the late 70s. And this group of poets, the language poets, Ron Silliman, Barrett Watton, Carla Harriman, Ray Armantrout. There's a lot of women, Steve Benson, others. And so it's poets' memoir, right, about their youth, recounting the scene and their lives in poetry. It's a lives of the poets, right? But they all tell the story, and so the idea is they each write one chapter each time, and there's 12 issues or whatever. So at the end, they all have, a book sort of 12 chapters. And I like that stuff. I like reading about, poets, how they did it, how they did lectures, they did a talk series, all the readings they did, how they booked the readings, whatever. They're just how they comported themselves. I find that stuff, I like that kind of stuff. That's part of what I'm trying to do with my work, my show and whatnot, is just show people, this country doesn't want poets to even exist, really. I mean, there's no money in it. Right? It's not exploited like every other fucking medium, like music, like movies. They haven't blown poetry up into some big industry. That's, they can't really. And so it's kind of, it's left to the ugly people like us. Who are sad, the sad, ugly people. But there's more and more sad, ugly people out there, we're finding, because of the internet and because of isolation. And so I do think we live in an era of poetry. We live in a nation of poets. I mean, this is America, right? You don't really start to exist until you use your First Amendment rights, until you start speaking. And every person is sort of their own poet. That's the dream of America, is everybody can sort of express themselves and say whatever they want to say. And so, it's like I want to encourage that in people. I look at Johnny Appleseed. I think Johnny Appleseed is kind of a dope icon of this country as a disseminator of information and a culture. and somebody who walked the earth, sort of spreading life, really. I mean, Johnny Appleseed, right? He's just fucking walking around America throwing fucking apple seeds down. Trees, growth, oxygen, food, knowledge, wisdom, the tree of knowledge. And so I think with our chat books, with our readings, with open mics, Johnny Appleseed is the icon. He is the fucking model where it's like, hey, boom. That's why I give my chat books away for free. For me, it's like I'm trying to be Johnny Appleseed. It's like, here's my book. You might like it, you might not like it, but you'll probably publish your own fucking book. Because a lot of people that I've given books to publish their own fucking books, which is the whole point. That's the miracle of the seed, is one seed can grow an infinite number of trees, theoretically. And that's what we're trying to spread, like the Olympic fucking torch. The flame can light an infinite number of torches, but you have to take the flame to the people. So I wish the New York Times would give a fuck. We could have a nation of good poetry, not just a bunch of slam fucking poetry magazine, overly sanctimonious dog shit. The poetry culture is just, it could be smarter, I'm horny for smart, deep brilliance, genius, and so when I see something like language poetry, when I see grand piano, when I see, I like Ron Silliman. I'll say it. I don't care. I like chanting and the alphabet. And I got this one, The Age of Huts, is pretty dope. I encourage people to check out The New Sentence. I mean, maybe it is fucking white people postmodernist bullshit, but for me, I'm trying to like blend. I do think that stuff makes a lot of sense. And I do think using the language that people actually speak in the moments of our actual lives, rather than something that some fucking university sort of mandated, like a fucking dentist putting braces in your teeth, or, it's the poet's job to be natural. You got to be naturalistic, man. You got to be naturalistic as hell. You got to be natural, man. It's your job to be fucking real and organic and like an heirloom tomato, like Iggy Pop. Look at Iggy Pop's fucking salamander ass looking body. That is your fucking job as a poet, is to be Iggy Pop's body of fucking. You're not supposed to be tainted like all of the fucking bullshit. Okay? We are supposed to stand in the goddamn margins and tell the truth against the fucking corporate AI quantum computing Skynet that is going to exterminate beauty and organic life in this universe. And I don't know, maybe it's our service to that God. Maybe that's all we're here for, is to deliver the techno AI, overlords who genocide us out of fucking existence. But I'm going to be publishing my fucking poetry pamphlets, making my little ant-like noises of voice of the people, in the same way that Rivers Cuomo, you can tell Rivers Cuomo is listening to hooks and he's listening to rappers, because that is where the culture is. These guys, they are saying some shit that like grabs your ear. They have got fucking skills. And I think poets should be trying to do that. I try to throw all kind of dab into my work. I throw all kind of dap. There's all kind of dap that I'm trying to throw in there. And I'm trying to spaff the fuck out of it. Okay? These motherfuckers got to get spaffed, okay? With your poetry. You got to spaff them right out of their jobs. If you're not driving people out of their jobs and getting them impregnated, not you personally, but okay, if you are liberating people and you are freeing them from the fascist jail of corporate America, they're quitting their jobs. They're going to open mics. They're getting impregnated by questionable. I don't know what it is. It's just people when they get turned on by poetry and by life and by crossing that line from safety and security and the they live kind of obey reality. When you cross that line into poetry and when you start to meditate and listen and actually buy into the cult of personality, to me, that's all poetry is. It's the only fucking thing in our culture that isn't like way volume turned up. It's not. It's not ultra violence. It's not gore. It's not porn. It's it's the thing as it is. You know, it's trying to be. It's a micro. It's modest. You know, there's something to be said for that. You know, if we're talking about scale, not everything has to be a fucking super tall. Not everything has to be sucking up resources. You know, you can write haiku, right? And you can just go on a little journey to all the holy shrines on Christmas in the cold weather and just have moments of clarity and awareness and stillness and quiet and solitude and peace. You know, poetry is toning it down. You know, our culture is so toned up and it's so full of lies and conspiracy theories and people wanting to believe the worst and obsessing over the worst and everybody's a fucking pedophile and they all went to Epstein's Island and blah, blah, blah. And just pay attention to your own fucking life. I'm not saying, you know, obviously all those people should go to jail and shit, but like, I don't know, man. It's like, there's just too many things in the way. You know, the more we can get away from our jobs and care for each other, spend time with each other, listen to each other, and understand when movement is happening, when emotion is happening, you know, when the gods are talking to us, listening, you know, to the stars and the wind and fucking trying to intuit how what is our purpose, you know? What is literature? You know, we're trying to get at deeper truths. You know, it is like a scripture. To me, poetry is liturgical. What we do at these open mics, what we do at shows is church. You know, it doesn't have to have like a religious, you know, like it doesn't have to have all that baggage. It's church, and it's what they did in church. They read poetry and they sang songs and they congregated and they dressed up. That's what we do at these open mics and these various shows and whatnot. I think that's all right. I'm on 20%, so maybe I'll go just a few more minutes. That's like the most blissed out we can get, really, as people. And you know, we're in these sort of torture chambers of isolation of social media and not thinking we're good enough, we're not famous enough, we're missing out. You know, Imrata, man, what's up? What's up? When am I gonna meet Imrata? When am I gonna meet Taylor Swift? You know, Taylor Swift would never date me. I have to come to terms with this. I mean, what would I have to do? What would I have to do? As a 5'8" man, what would I have to do? Like I said, Al Pacino is 5'6". Would he even? I don't even think he could make it today. He wasn't a child star. He wasn't a Disney star. How the fuck did this guy make it? Who knows? I don't think he could make it today. I don't know. Who's the Al Pacino out there today? You know, it's like we've all been marginalized. We're all invisible. You know, none of us are getting the love we need. How do we come to terms with this? I don't know. I'd love to be in the Paris Review. You know, too bad. But the Paris Review would have to change. You know, who are the writers? If I was the editor of the Paris Review, who the fuck would I put in there? I have some people I would put in there, definitely. I would put people from the Poetry Project, a handful of them. There should be more fucking public. You know, I do think New York City poets really have gotten the shaft in my generation. I hear so much about fucking poets from Philadelphia or poets upstate or people, you know, here and there, whatever, Oakland. What about us, god damn it? We're number one.
This is the most serious fucking poetry city in the country. Okay? That's a fact. East Coast, okay? East Coast, not the West Coast. We are the better of the two coasts. The East Coast, okay? And I just feel like we're not getting like the people that are the famous writers are all like the kind of New York tyrant Twitter writers. Twitter fucking writers. You know, people who are like the alt lit people, it's all people who got shitloads of followers on Twitter. Like fucking Shy Watson, that whole crowd, fucking Paul Hanson Clark, um, it's like sort of you're like a sort of teen idol. Oh my god, I got 6 people watching. How the fuck did this happen? I just had 3 people watching. It's like you're a fucking teen idol. You're a tween. You're a tween idol mixed with like a writer. And it's like, I don't know, man. Then there's like literary people who are fucking take it too seriously and they live this sheltered fucking, they're academics or and they also have their head up their ass. I don't know. It's been a few years since I even read. I didn't read Sally Rooney. I didn't read My Year of Rest and Relaxation. I didn't read Zadie Smith had a new book. I didn't read that. I don't know how people keep up. Literature is not as easy to read everything like with movies. That's one thing I've been enjoying about watching movies is you can kind of see a lot of the stuff. Like it's like, okay, I saw the fucking Barbie movie finally. I can talk about it with people. I know what the fuck it's about. Whereas like Jesus Christ, these books are I have to keep these people entertained. Thank you for watching. We're wrapping it up here. Um, literature as something on paper that New York sort of dominates the publishing industry is dying. I think that even they probably know that. And as they die, I think they publish probably less interesting stuff. Uh, I guess I am one of these people that's like, I'd rather read my friends or like, the people that I hear at open mics and things. There's probably a handful of things I heard at the open mic that this year that were as good as anything. If you put it together, it would have been as good as any kind of think pieces in the New Yorker or whatever the fuck. Uh, I don't know. I'd like to be fucking celebrated and more known and fucking a success. It just feels impossible. It feels like I'd like to believe that my fucking travel books and my vlogs could send like some kind of firestorm and revolutionize publishing and actually make literature exciting for people in this country. I think it is like an exciting form and something that's modern, but also like plays into something that's familiar over time. But it just seems like now they want to find things that fit the narrative that they want. It's like now we know that like anybody in the arts media in this country is like a liberal, and so they're leading with their politics and they're leading with like, well, we need these people, so we just need to find that we need to find people that are going to fit what we need. We need fucking Roxanne Gay and people of that. I should have. I knew when Lena Dunham was like sort of the chosen kind of anointed. I knew that meant
a lot as far as like what our generation's culture was going to be about. You know, feminism, body positivity. Uh, I just didn't know that it was going to be like beating us up with that. You know, I didn't understand that like it feels like there's a culture war where they're trying to pit, they're trying to like you know, like men don't have anything to say, we're trash. And like they as far as like a consumer demographic, right? It's like what? Are men watching Joe Rogan? What do men consume? The 300? What are they watching? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Uh you know, that's what seems to be behind it to me. You know, it's like women as a consumer base are just, they don't need us anymore. They don't need, you know, we went from a brawn to a brains economy, right? I heard somebody say something like that. You know, like we no longer live in a world where like it requires brawn to fucking sort of like tame, you know, we don't have this big industrial, you know, factories and this and that. Now we live in a brains economy. Women are better at that. They're better, you know, not to stereotype or anything, but I don't think that that's unflattering to say that women are just like smarter, better in an office, better at, you know, uh, and, you know, so there's a lot of consumer power there because they have the jobs and they buy shit, right? Uh, and so what do they need us for? What do we do? We're just here jacking off to fucking, you know, AI, ASMR porn on the internet, living with our parents and playing online video games, live streaming on Twitch, waiting for GTA 6 to come out, trying to be stand up comedians. We're podcasting, god damn it. I don't know. I don't want to focus. I don't want to do it the right way. I do kind of want to be just like a stingy fucking brat. Just, just trying to get it done in like the most direct attack. Uh, Talking to my virtual friends. Thank you guys for watching. I had 6 viewers for about 30 seconds. We're losers. We're men. What do we do? We write poetry. I encourage men out there to write poetry, publish zines. Don't, rather than being stand-up comedians. Try, there should be a poetry revolution in this country. That's my ultimate dream. To turn all of the comedy clubs and all of the comedy open mics in this entire country into just like thought clubs where you go and you like Ann Van Epp said when I was done with my set, she's like, wasn't that a cool point of view? And she's like, she's kind of right. That is what I do. I'm not necessarily up there to like make jokes that are hilarious. I'm up there to like just kind of to give you some interesting ideas. You know, like I have some kind of interesting ideas about, and so it's like, oh, that, yeah, that was kind of a cool point of view. I'm glad I listened to that guy's point of view. That's what they should be doing in comedy clubs. They, you know, people should be reading their avant-garde poetry, doing their performance art, being more comfortable with themselves, getting in touch with their feminine, getting in touch with their vulnerability. To me, that's what I do. You know, when I go on and embarrass myself on stage or, you know, wing it or whatever, there's a fragility there. real. I don't know who my target demographic is, but God, I'm so frustrated and gridlocked as a man, as a artist, as everything. And so I get on the internet, I complain about it, and that is my form and my that is the marble with which I carve the angel. Okay. So anyway, my hair's looking pretty good there. You know, one of the fun things about watching all the scenes from life is seeing all the different hair styles. That was like my Turbo Wings mullet. I was trying to do McCartney Wings like 78. But like also slash some like edge and some texture into it, some shrapnel into it. Well, anyway, we is just help me, make me a powerful human being, so I don't have to live this way. We're all disgraced aristocrats in this country. We're all disgraced kings. I should be a king, god damn it. Instead of a bum, which is what I am, let's face it. I'm a disgraced bum. If I could have a rent controlled apartment in Manhattan, I'd be happy for the rest of my life. You'll never hear me complain again. I could get anything done that I need to get done. That's why Chalamet's famous. He grew up in fucking Hell's Kitchen. He had a tremendous okay, part of it just logistically, it's easier to get famous if you're already from the New York area or near LA. You know, if you're from New Jersey, you know, like if you're anywhere on a mass transit you can get into New York City, you're already way at an advantage because these are the places that people get famous. You know, Columbus, Ohio, nobody gets discovered there. You have to move 500 fucking miles before you're even in the fucking conversation, right? So it's just weird to me because I didn't even get to New York till I was basically 26 years old. And everybody I know now is younger than 26 years old, almost entirely. And like the ones who are 25 think that they're old. They think like, oh my God, I'm too fucking old. I'm 25. It's like, Jesus Christ. I didn't even get here till I was 25. And now I'm 38. What am I supposed to do? Modern society, the super talls, we're all being crushed under the super talls. We're insignificant. You know, we live lives of insignificance. We're micro influencers. Isn't yay. Yay for us. Ashley, stop calling me. Please stop calling me. I'm live streaming, damn it. I have two people watching. All right, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I'm just wrapping up. Let me wrap up here, okay? This is when it gets good. It's the best of the wrap up show. You know, I don't know. Poetry moves way too fucking slow for me. Like, I have to have immediate. We live in an immediate gratification society. And so I try to make my poetry and my work immediately gratifying within the greater boredom, right? Like this, my show moves very slow. But if you watch it, it does say things. You know, it says things very slowly. Okay, let me say this. The best way to watch scenes from a life is to put on one of these, put on one of my live streams in one tab, and then open up the scenes from a life in another tab. So that way, it's like an infinite number of new episodes because you can remix the vocal track. So you'll have the vocal track of me espousing, pontificating, holding forth on whatever it is I'm holding forth on in the background, which is really what I would do. I mean, if I wasn't completely lazy, I would voice over my poetry over all of these episodes. But I have no control of my life, and I'm a drug addict, so I can't. But if you put on the live stream and then shuffle, then you've got pretty much the ultimate infinite scenes from a life, because you're getting, this is really just a podcast. The audio track is really, watching this, I can't imagine it's very exciting for anybody, but the audio you can listen to while you're cleaning or driving or whatever. And so put the fucking, if you want to watch something, put the scenes from a life video track on one tab and then put this on the other. And so you'll have this on the audio and you'll have the visual, because I do, it's meant to be, it's a silent movie and it's a painting. It's really a painting. These are all, you could pause it at any time, and that would be sort of a composition in my mind. That's my thinking, to my thinking. So we're trying to be serious artists. We're not trying to be fucking, we're not trying to have Jason Mraz voice. Something happened with Jason Mraz. When Jason Mraz came out, that I'm Yours song. Suddenly every male singer started to sound like John Mayer. And as we were saying, as hip hop became the dominant mode, it really is the dominant culture mode. I mean, the way that people talk to each other. Think about the way you talk to your friends. What up, dog? Keeping it real. Whatever it is, it's from hip hop. It's all the clothes, white people, Taylor Swift, T Swift. It's all fucking, hip hop is sort of the baseline of what is cool, and it's like jazz lingo was or whatever in the 50s, or Far Out Man or whatever in the 60s. It's like hip hop sets the fucking standard pretty much. Why did I start talking about that? All right, I'm on 10%, so I got to get off. John Cena, Channing Tatum. Why did I start talking about this? I don't remember. Anyway, thank you for watching. It's a strong note to go out on. Yeah, I think there can be a poetry renaissance. I dream of a fucking country where everyone is writing poetry, running for local office, exchanging poetry chatbooks, live streaming their poetry on Twitch, reading poetry in Grand Theft Auto, multiplayer, online gaming. I mean, it's all online. If you want to talk about a third place, people's third place is Xbox Live. Most people's third place is probably a headset. So, I don't know. So be it. Thank you for watching, my devoted fan base. I love you all. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. You make it all worthwhile. I know that there's people out there that... It's so pathetic because they're basically just my friends. I should be hanging out with people. But instead of hanging out with them or answering Ashley's FaceTime, I'm live streaming. And so, literally, the three people that, actually should be my friends, I force them into this position where it's like, oh, you're actually my fan. You like my vlogs and my live streams, right? You listen to my indoctrination tapes on YouTube. I mean, does it feel like I'm trying to start a cult or something? Or I feel like I have all the answers? We're just trying to make sense of this fucking... we got a machete through the fucking brush of all the bullshit in our society. And so, everyone is looking for that. We're all listening to podcasts ad infinitum, just looking for answers. What the fuck is going on? How can we get better? How can we get uh how can we have fun again? How can we make things that sound good? I mean, corporations have sucked all of the quality out of everything. It's pretty much that simple. And no one has any time or resources to get together to make anything that has any quality. Everything is shoddy and plastic. Okay, maybe this is the last thing I say. I've been thinking about, in New York, they always talk about pre war buildings, right? Anything built pre war. And, what? I mean, we all know what happened, but, like, what the fuck happened during the war? That everything after it is a piece of shit. Why is it the best shit was pre war? Like, we all know what happened in the war, but, like, I mean, something. Is it going still? Oh, yeah, okay. No, it did stop. Motherfucker. Something in World War II. Listen to the music. Look at the movies before World War II. There's like a warmth. There's a calmness. There's the way they got a feeling of environment. That's why we're clinging to poetry. Poetry is the oldest thing we have. And so it will sustain us. And we live in it. And there's nothing better. I mean, you can't replace it. You know, you can't replace it with anything else. Everything else is too stimulating. Movies are they're too disempowering to you as a viewer. Movies completely take over your vision and they steal you away from it's the cave, right? Poetry, you still have your own agency, your own choice of what you're listening to, what you want to look at, how you want to see it, how you imagine it, all of that kind of stuff. And it activates us as souls. And that's what we're looking for, really, from everything. And the corporations can't give it to us. They want to brainwash us with their psyop and sell us shit and make us slaves to the military industrial complex. And that's what the MFA programs are about. And all the self-help books in the publishing industry and The Office and all the NBC sitcoms. It's all designed to just make us slaves to the military industrial complex and the post 9/11 surveillance, endless arms deal where they just money launder through the Pentagon endlessly. But we're the anti-Pentagon, okay? This brother laser printer that I have is the anti-Pentagon. And we're just as strong as they are because we have the truth in God on our side. And by God, I mean higher consciousness and unified field of galactic consciousness, whatever that may be. All right. Well, thank you for watching. While we tune into the Akashic Records and access and channel from Source, and you do the same, meditate. It does help. It changes your life. Everything expands when you meditate. Meditate, travel, eat well, be well, read poetry. Get on TikTok and learn something, okay? Get on Wayne Newton TikTok. I've got my selfie stick. Thank you, Amen, for providing the selfie stick. It's made all things possible. All things are possible with selfie stick. Okay. Well, thank you to my beautiful viewers for a great year. Kiwi Mountain. And I think I've gotten more subscribers. I mean, this was my biggest year on YouTube by far. And it's not just the open mic. In fact, the open mic was not really I'm sure I got probably half my subscribers from that, but I've gotten a lot of subscribers just from doing the live streams and the vlogs and the shorts and all the memories and all of the hits. And look for more in 24, everybody. There's a lot more in 24. Cheers to that. Peace out. Peace out, everybody.
Have a great evening. We'll be back soon. Happy New Year.